Apparently, I have failed as an educator and I apologize. So, yes, I am talking about head gaskets, unfortunately, again. After this video I just uploaded a few days ago, it seems I caused more confusion than, fixing misconceptions. So, again, it's on me. It's on my behalf that I am looking at it from my perspective and my knowledge and not from somebody primarily coming from a clean slate that doesn't have any former knowledge or, history or knows any of the history behind Subarus and the different engines and the engine series. So I really need to make a video, which I'm probably going to film right after I film this one, on modern Subaru engines, every different variant, and the history of the Subaru engines between the H4s and the H6s and even some of the inline engines. Yes, Subaru does make some inline engines, as you see in my Subaru Sambar, as well as in the Subaru Justy and a few other vehicles, mostly weren't US market vehicles. So I'm going to try to keep on point and try to keep as quick, short, and sweet as possible. I know sometimes I get off on tangents and I ramble, and sometimes I talk in circles and repeat myself. But that kind of happens when you're just talking to a camera and not talking to someone, and you can go back and forth in a normal conversation. So, as I said, I seem to have caused more confusion than fixing in that last video that I did just a couple days ago. So, addressing some of the things I saw in the comments about that video. So, one, Subaru head gasket issues are not an issue. They haven't been an issue for over a decade now. Subaru has completely fixed the issues. So all of you asking about your 2015, 2018, 2016 Legacies, Crosstracks, Imprezas, Outbacks, don't worry about head gaskets. It's not an issue anymore. Oil consumption may be an issue, but it's not a widespread, every single model is affected. We talked about that about a year and a half ago. I might do an updated video on the oil consumption, but it's not every single model, every single vehicle affected. It's a sporadic issue. Now the head gaskets, the graphite coated head gaskets I showed you on the naturally aspirated 2.5, the three different series primarily, the EJ25D, which was the first 2.5 dual overhead cam naturally aspirated H4 in US market, if I recall correctly. It came out in 96, 97, somewhere in that model year range, and it ran up to about 99, 2000 before it was replaced by the EJ251, which is a single overhead cam 2.5 naturally aspirated 2.5 liter. Then that engine transitioned in the mid-early 2000s to the EJ253, and the EJ253 ran all the way through until 2012 in the Outback Legacy, and I believe 2011 in the Forester, and in the Impreza it was 2011, 2012. Around the beginning of the 2010s, the EJ series completely died. I say completely died, meaning over the mass of the total production numbers. It's a very small percentage now because the only car in US market that still runs an EJ series engine is the STI running the EJ257. And the EJ257 never had head gasket issues as a factory defect of the gasket. And we'll cover this right now. Boxer engines are not inherently designed with head gasket flaws. I'll repeat this again for all you that like to comment this. Boxer engines design is not inherently causing head gasket failures. Do Porsches have head gasket memes? No. Only Subarus. Did old Volkswagens have head gasket memes? No, they had oil leak memes, but not head gasket memes. Although technically they didn't really have head gaskets because they were air-cooled engines. Well, let's not get into that. We're not talking about Volkswagens, we're talking about Subarus. So, with Subarus, again, this was 3 iterations of the naturally aspirated 2.5 liter engine that was of the EJ series of engines. There are plenty of Subaru engines. There's lots of different variants, but modern Subaru engines, which is the F series now, we have the FA and the FB series. So as far as I recall, we've got the FA20, the FB20, the FB25, and the FA24. Now there are variants on those, like the FB20B, the FB20D, the FB25B, the FB25D, the FA24F. I think there's an FA24D is what they're going to call the 2.5 naturally aspirated engine that's going to go in the BRZ. There's the FA20F, if I recall correctly. I'm not too up on my F-Series nomenclature as I am the EJ Series nomenclature. So, again, all of you with modern Subarus, if you've got a 2013 or newer and you have an F-Series engine, if you have an aluminum timing chain cover and not a plastic timing belt cover, you have an F-Series engine, do not worry about head gaskets. It's gone. It's a thing of the past. It's no longer relevant to modern Subarus or those looking to buy a new Subaru. Head gaskets aren't the issue. So another thing I see quite a bit is people thinking that the reason Subarus were blowing head gaskets, again because everyone seems to think that every single Subaru engine blows a head gasket, which isn't the case, is because the head gasket is constantly in contact with coolant. I, for the life of me, cannot understand how this got started. Every single engine's head gasket is constantly in contact with coolant. It's not just a boxer engine thing. Your V6, your inline four-cylinder, your straight six, your V6, your V8, your V10, your V12, every single engine combination out there. The cooling system is a completely filled system with coolant. There are no air chambers. There is no coolant draining back away from the cylinder head or the head gasket not making contact. I have no idea how that started. I guess it's because being a boxer engine and the head's laying on the sides, they think that, there's a level of liquid in the engine. We bleed air out of cooling systems for a reason, because the cooling system has nowhere in there should there be an air pocket. It should be coolant the whole way around. If you have an air pocket in your cooling system, you have a hot spot because air cannot transfer the heat from the block or the head and move it to the radiator like coolant can. So there's no coolant draining away from the head gasket. The head gaskets on every single engine that is liquid cooled is constantly in contact with coolant. Now, on that fact, people talk about the fact that the head gaskets on Subarus are constantly in contact with engine oil. Now, that is correct for the most part. Here is the traditional EJ Series head gasket. So the big two here, of course, are the combustion chambers. Then these little slits around the combustion chambers are coolant passages. You have oil galley holes at the top, and you have the head bolt holes at the top and the bottom, evenly spaced out. 3 head bolt holes at the top, 3 head bolt holes at the bottom. These oblong looking little ports here, that is where your oil drains back from the head into the engine block and into the oil pan. So yes, there is where oil can puddle in these drain backs between the head and the block, and oil can sit there, and over time it can cause issues. But again, that was because, one, the gaskets were coated and the coating breaks down and fails with heat cycles and age. 2, people not properly maintaining their vehicle, not doing regular oil changes and not doing regular coolant replacements. When you don't replace the coolant becomes corrosive. It picks up contaminants from the system. It starts, the anti-corrosive properties break down, and you get a lot of crud in your cooling system. That can start affecting that coating, the oil, if you don't change it regularly and you let the oil keep picking up contamination, picking up condensation, all the stuff that happens with engine oil in an engine, that will start hurting the head gaskets as well. So, as far as I can recall, I've not seen issues with the external oil leaks on the MLS gaskets, on the turbocharged applications, on the 2.2, on the 2-liter, all these engines that did not have the graphite coating like the 2.5 NAs did. People talking about Felpro head gaskets. As I've talked about in many videos, I am not anti-Felpro as a company. I use Felpro gaskets on lots of vehicles. I use Felpro cam cover, rocker cover, valve cover gaskets. I use Felpro intake gaskets. I use Felpro exhaust gaskets. I use Felpro cam seals, crank seals, and rear main seals. I am not against Felpro as a company. I'm only against Felpro's head gaskets in the application of a Subaru. I don't want to use an aftermarket head gasket. I've seen every single one of them fail. Another one people kept bringing up was 6-star. These right here, that's a 6-star head gasket, and it failed I don't know if 6-Star still has a coated gasket. This is a coated gasket. The coating fails. Any of these coatings, when it's completely coated gasket, can cause failure. What else did I see? I see I'm at 12 minutes already. I didn't want to make this a really long video because I'm going to cover a lot of this separately in other videos. But like I said, based on the amount of comments I got and a lot of hate I saw from people like, I'm not going to buy Subaru, they're junk. I don't understand why people still buy Subarus because they're junk. Again, it's not a modern problem. I'm talking about an old problem. Yes, Subaru handled it very poorly when it happened. Yes, Subaru was a very small company when it happened. They're still relatively a small company. It likely would have bankrupted them. Was it the right thing for them to do? No. Am I defending what they did? No. But it happened. It's the past. Move on with it. Subaru and Subaru America bend over backwards for their customers like no other car company I've seen. Pretty much covered all I need to cover. I know I got into some slight ranting. Sorry about the beeping right now. That's my Makita battery charger telling me my batteries are charged. So hopefully it'll shut off. There we go. So yeah, general maintenance, replacing the troublesome head gaskets with the new ones. In just that engine again, the 2.2s never had an issue. The 2 liters never had an issue. The turbocharged engines didn't have an issue. The H6 engines didn't have an issue. None of the older Subarus had an issue. None of the modern Subarus had an issue. It was basically 96, 97 to 2009. The 10, 11, and 12 don't really even count with the EJ253 because they went to a MLS gasket. It's not quite as stout as the turbo gasket. There is still issue with them with way higher mileage where they start to fail, but it's nowhere near the normal range of 120 to 150,000 miles that the original coated head gasket was failing on the NA 2.5s. So again, I'm here trying to educate people. I'm trying to dispel all the bad information out there. It's an uphill battle. I know people are still going to comment on this video saying Subarus are garbage and people are wasting money on Subarus. I can't stop that. All I can do is present as much evidence as I can and tell you the correct information and let you take that with a grain of salt, whether you want to believe me or not. That's up to you. I'm not here to sell cars. I'm not getting commission for selling cars. I'm not getting commission for selling parts for Subaru. I'm not, affiliated. So take it how you want. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.